Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming, and welcome back to the very first installment of Player Cam. Here at Player Cam, basically we're going to be looking at our StarCraft 2 games through the eyes of our favorite players here. In this game, the player that we're watching the game through is Skutt, and then our opponent is going to be Kaz. Now I'm not going to show you where he is, we're not actually going to look at him at all, because again, we're trying to just watch the game through the eyes of the player. Now this is obviously a brand new series that we're going to be doing. If you guys like it at all, go ahead and let me know in the comments. We will be sure to continue doing it if it turns out right. Now, it's going to be a little different than what you're typically used to seeing me do. Obviously on our channel we do a lot of step-by-step strategy videos. That's primarily what we focus on. And then also I do some game casting for Machinima Realm. But this is going to be kind of a mix of the two. We're going to be talking about what's going on, yes, but we're not going to be looking at specific build orders. I mean, we'll discuss things as they're happening, but that's not the focus here. Basically, we're just trying to play the game through the eyes of the player, or at least see the game rather through the eyes of the player and see what they see when they play. I've gotten a lot of requests for some sort of thing like this. I haven't seen it actually done yet though, so I thought I'd give it a shot. So moving on with these overlords here, that first initial overlord, you're going to want to send to that closest position. That's basically what we're seeing Skutt do here. Also going down to his expansion with this drone, looks like he is likely to be expanding. Putting him on patrol like that, that's try to prevent any pylon or bunker drop, any sort of building drop right at your natural that would stop you from being able to do anything. Now, we didn't know if there was a probe or something hiding there, and we want to make sure that he's not able to drop something right on top of where we want to build our expansion. Also going to be moving down the secondary drone as well. Not quite sure where he's going with that. Probably just that's going to be for scouting, I would assume. So moving on with that. Now, you want to kind of check the edge of the base here, and that's exactly why. Now that we see right there, we just barely saw that SCV. Now, he was not able to see us. At least he shouldn't have been. So as such, we have more intel at this point than he does, although as you can see right there on the mini-map, did just have an SCV moving. Now we're going to want to keep an eye on that. If he stays in the dark for too long, we're going to want to check what he's doing. We can see there he's moving back into the dark patch around our base, so keeping an eye on it. There we go. In the mini-map you can see right there that little blip, so he did finally come into vision. But if he was in that dark area for too long, we would want to check for any sort of proxy. So moving in, pretty standard stuff. We are seeing that barracks there, which is what we expect at that point. A little shocked that he didn't try to stay in there to get some secondary information as to exactly what he was going for a second building. And now you do want to see if he's getting a factory or a barracks secondarily. Now, something to note is that going to barracks against Zerg really isn't usually the best idea, just because Marines and Marauders do very poorly against Zerglings, and then Banelings especially. Once you throw Banelings into the mix, it makes it nearly impossible to support a fully Marine Marauder heavy army. So we do expect a factory after that barracks, so that may be the reason why he didn't keep that drone in there. He didn't want to lose it. Now we do have this extractor up, but not mining gas yet, and then finally coming down with that roach warren. So gas is going to be coming up at this point, so we can afford some roaches. So we're going to be seeing some roach play here from Skutt. That's clearly his intention. I'm going to be dropping some spine crawlers, also rallying those Zerglings to the front of his base. Suggested thing to do at this point would be to move out, try to grab those Zelnaga towers, see if he has anything at the Zelnaga towers, and then also send at least one Zergling to the front of our opponent's base to check if there's anything fancy going on. We kind of do want to see what buildings are there, what secondary buildings are there, as well as what attachments are there. So moving out with the Zergling, going back to our base, just checking things. Not actually sure why he went back there. He could have done all that through hotkeys. Maybe he just wanted to see. So moving to the front, now this is what we're looking for here. We want to see what that secondary building is. Unfortunately, we didn't really get vision of that. Didn't get a clear sight as to what he was going for secondarily there. Now we can see he's moving back to his base in order to put down that spawn larva. Something to know is that you don't need to do that. You can spawn larva straight from hotkeying your queens and then just clicking after clicking the spawn larva ability, clicking on the mini-map where those hatcheries are. So just so you know, it's not necessary to actually see that hatchery in order to spew larva on it. He did put that creep down though, and you do need to actually see the map to do that, so that was necessary. Second extractor going down as well. So here we go. You can see, he's at his base. I wonder if he's gonna drop it. There we go. So larva is going down again, upgrading to a layer. So we're gonna be seeing some sort of higher tech, of course. A lot of times you'll see, something like Speedling into, I don't know, Muta. Something Speedling into Muta, something like that. He could also be going, of course, for like Hydralisk. That's a possibility. Upgraded Roaches is another possibility. Something to note is that we haven't really seen any actual units from him yet. Actually, I will pull up the production tab. I was a little hesitant to do that, but we do, he knows what he's building. So we would like to know what he's building in turn. That would make sense. So now we know that roaches are coming out, and it looks like we're going to be seeing those tunneling claws as well. So just kind of massing up some units at this point. Still not sure as to his intentions, and I mean, going for roaches isn't really the worst idea because heavy marauders aren't very likely. It's not probable, but the main problem is we don't know that for sure. We really have no scout. We haven't had any scouting information, secondary scouting information. Tried to move up that Zergling. Obviously, that wall off makes it difficult. Sacrificing an overlord, or maybe even having an overlord in this position, or maybe even swinging one around. Although it's going to be difficult. I'm not sure that there's enough room behind the map there, but I'm not going to go because again we're staying in the vision here of our good friend Skutt. That's where we're staying. So we are seeing a Nidus network go down. That's pretty interesting. Looks like he does plan. He's got that vision there with that overlord right at the bottom right, so it looks like he does plan on dropping that down there. Again, as far as upgrades so far, we just have those tunneling claws coming in, so we're gonna see some pretty interesting Nidus work pretty soon. Now, seeing those Hellions come down, they came out of nowhere, right? It looks like they were probably dropped. That's the likely thing. That's going to be a reason why he's probably going to have wanted to put an overlord over here. He would have seen that ahead of time. Now, he didn't take too much damage, but what's really preventing you from placing an overlord over here? There's no inherent danger in doing that. Maybe Vikings are going to come, but I mean, you'll have time to reinforce your queens before you kind of lose it, and that extra vision to see that drop ahead of time isn't a bad idea. Something we saw Skutt do right there, he surrounded the Hellion with his drones, and people are usually terrified of Hellions with drones. The thing to realize, though, we're going to be loading up the Nidus network right now. The thing to realize, though, is that a majority of Hellion's damage comes when all of your units are clumped up. So if you can get a surround on him, that's actually safer for all of your drones because he'll only be able to fire at one at a time rather than firing at 6 of them that are in one big clump. So now, obviously, our opponent here knows about this because he's building us a supply depot right there, but he didn't respond in time, coming out with a ton of queens as well. You may be wondering the purpose as to this. Well, they're going to be okay as long as you can keep them on creep, but the other main thing is we're going to be using them for transfuse. If you take a look at their energy, they're all at just about half energy. You see that transfuse going down. That is huge, especially if we can transfuse our roaches. We saw transfuse go down on the roach, and that's exactly what you are looking to do. So it looks like we are seeing a marauder heavy army, so this is actually, again, dangerous for our roach heavy army, but we kind of lucked out in the fact that it looks like we were able to out-macro him. Not we, Skutt was. Again, this is different from my strategy videos. Skutt was able to out-macro him, and as such, he has just more, and those queens especially, using the transfuse ability, that obviously helped greatly. It's pretty much metavax for Zerg, having some queens attack with your army. Now, again, the inherent danger in this is that queens are just so freaking slow. Look at them, they move like half a mile per hour off of the creep. So having an overlord with you to spread creep is obviously going to help. It's going to be beneficial. Good thing to note is that roaches absolutely devastate marines. So even if he's slightly marine heavy, this roach army is going to do pretty well, and it did in fact do pretty well. It's just going to keep pumping out roaches. And as you can see here, not going back to his base. Okay, finally moving back to his base, but he did have all of his roaches rallied right to that Nidus network. So as such, he was able to just load them in just like that, like you saw him do there. And I don't know, it doesn't look like Kaz is going to be able to do too much at this point. Skutt's pretty devastating, pretty overpowering in this particular position. Again, with those queens, and if any of those roaches get low, then we'll just go ahead and transfuse them, although they are pretty low on energy. We should be able to, though. Spreading creep as well, dropping creep tumors inside of his base, that's devastating. Kaz is trying to lift off his buildings. It's definitely way too late at this point, though. He's lost so many production buildings. He's not going to be able to do much of anything, and he does call a good game. So there we go. Finally, we can leave Skutt Vision. So yeah, guys, this was the very first episode, or installment, rather, of, what's this thing called again? Player Cam, there we go, StarCraft 2 Player Cam. This has been, again, Force StarCraft 2 Strategy. If you guys like our videos and you like what we're doing here, please do go ahead and subscribe to our channel. As always, guys, keep watching and keep owning. And then, of course, you could get a Spire up, and with that Spire, you would be able to get some air units that can take care of those Colossus. But at this point, what you're going to be seeing is we're just going to be macroing up, we're going to be getting units, and we're going to be taking that map control. And again, that's something I talked about in the beginning of this video. I just want to go over that real quick.